This meeting is being recorded.
So, this week's Torah portion is Mishpatim. You said ordinances, which works. Ordinances, judgments, Mishpat, right? Judgments. And it comes on the heels of what? 10 commandments, 10 declarations. It's another way of saying it. So, here's a question. If we were all created in God's image, and God is not a physical being, but rather a spiritual entity, and God is perfect, and God believes in, and God practices divine justice, that's what karma is all about. Why do we need all these rules? Why do we need all these ordinances? Right? And it didn't just really start here. I mean, when you think about it, how many commandments were there at the very beginning? It was one: be fruitful and multiply. That was it. And it wasn't really much of a commandment. It was just like, let's propagate the planet, right? And then the whole thing with Noah came. People taking advantage of these people, using their high positions as rulers to take advantage, to use people. And God's like, this ain't going to work, so now we have the 7 Noahide commandments. Not even that was enough. Then Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came along, and we saw the destruction after the destruction of the world once. Then we had to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah and the other 3 cities, right? And then we saw the way Abraham and Isaac and Jacob had to wander around because people just didn't like them. We saw Shechem, that travesty. And then we came to Egypt. Israel came to Egypt, basically saved the world by having the foresight, the prophecy, to put away enough grain for the famine. And then Jacob shows up in Egypt, blesses the Pharaoh, and next thing you know, a 7-year famine was over in 2 years. And what happened after that was 114 years of slavery. God's like, I gotta do something about this. I have to select people that made a covenant with me to show the world how it's done, what righteousness really is. So he chose us after we chose him. After we said, we will do and we will hear. And God's like, good, I found my people. That will help me get the word to the world. Again, what makes people so evil? I mean, I hate to use the word bad, but you got people taking advantage of people all over the place. People getting power. Power corrupts absolutely. And they don't think, well, I got a responsibility here. They say, I got wealth, I have privilege. That's terrible. It's terrible. So what does that mean to be made in the image of God and still do unrighteous things when God himself, or herself if you prefer, practices divine righteousness? Well, we have to look at this, I think, logically. We have to say, okay, God did not create us perfect. What would be the point of it? What's the point of perfection? People love the idea of perfection, but if anybody remembers the Twilight Zone, the guy died, right? He got everything he wanted, and after a month he was going crazy. He goes, can I just have even the thought of failing? And it turned out it's not where he thought he was. So we have challenges to help us grow. And our imperfect nervous systems that are attracted to the easy way out is part of our growth. Now, you look at any society. You have people on the top rungs of society. I'm talking about socioeconomic, and you have people on the bottom rungs, as we did in the Torah. Because Mishpatim opens up demanding respect for slaves, people on the lowest rungs of the socioeconomic ladder. These are the people that everybody feels they can take advantage of because, well, they're slaves. You got to do what I said. Well, actually, they don't. You make a slave, they earn their freedom. You got to let them go free after the most 6-7 years, right? Jubilee. Even if they don't want to go, and you bore their ear to the wall, with an awe, to put a hole in their ear to show that they love their master so much they don't want, even after 50 years, they're gone. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, what makes some, and people that are slaves, indentured servants, sometimes they just have bad breaks. They can't manage their business, things go bad and they just can't manage it, so they need to work for somebody, work off some money, so they can go out and make a new start. But there are people that don't need that, people that are highly successful. People that can't come up with these ideas, next thing you know, they're billionaires. People also, the other side of it, they don't push themselves a lot, they just want a job. Company goes bad, they get laid off, they gotta find another job. So what's the difference between somebody who's successful and somebody who's not successful? If there is such a thing, not everybody has the wherewithal to become a billionaire, but certainly people can become successful if they try. And what does it mean to try? It means you gotta push yourself when things don't go well. You have to tough it out. You have to look for the solution, not whine about it. But some people don't want to work hard. It's easier maybe to cheat. So that's what people do. It's easier to take advantage of a situation. And that's what God does. That's what the righteous sages say God does. He will put temptation in your way to see what you do. Yom Kippur, we sit there for 26 hours, Hashamnu, Bagadu, Al-Chetz, all those, and please, write me in the book of life, and inscribe me in the book of life, and then seal me in the book of life. And God's like, okay, but get ready. I'm going to put you in the same situation and see what you do. And that will determine what happens next, which we mortals call karma. So some people learn from that. Yeah, I gossiped. I stole. I cheated. I lied. I got to do better. But they don't. See, it's too hard for some people. They don't face the challenge, and that's the problem. That's why we need all those laws. And we have all those laws. How many people actually read them and say, wow, I guess if there's somebody I don't like, and of course, we don't have donkeys anymore. It's not on 4 legs, we got a few on 2, but, but whatever. But if somebody, they fall by the road and it's somebody you don't like, you have to help them up. In fact, the rabbis say, I'll go you one better than that. If you got 2 people with 2 donkeys stuck on the road, who do you help first? The one that you don't like. Because the rabbis say there is, I don't want to say no greater, but it is a great mitzvah to make a friend out of an enemy. And how many of us actually do that? How many of us actually, during the 10 days of awe, right, when we're really on the hook, actually go to somebody we think we've wronged and try to apologize 3 times? So that's why we have those laws. But they're meaningless if we just read it as literature. Okay, I'm Jewish. Here we go, Mishpatim. Okay, let's get our triennial portion out and let's, really do it. Okay, but is it sinking in? And this is why we read Torah over and over and over again, and over again, and over again. I don't want to say until it sinks in, but even when it sinks in, there's always something more. So this is what we Jews have to do. We have to make that commitment. Not just on Yom Kippur, because every day in our liturgy, we say, forgive me for I have sinned, pardon me for I have erred. We say that every single day, 3 times a day. It's part of our Amidah, our weekly Amidah, daily Amidah during the week. So let's start paying attention to those words. Let's own those declarations that we have committed to God through our covenant to do. And let's not just show people that we can make a better world, but let's make a better world for ourselves. Let's focus. Let's look at challenges, at travails during the day, during our life as a challenge. And let's make a commitment that when we are tempted, we're not going to do it. Not this time. So let's make that commitment. Thank you. I'm available for weddings and bar mitzvahs too.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. You